Hello everybody, welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for access support. Any kind of updates and such, usually I go about on Twitter X, and possibly I think we can manage to do another Midnight Suns episode. I'm still till the end of this week, so till tomorrow or something like that during the weekend, I might be able to solve any pendant stuff that I've been doing that made me throughout these last 2 weeks to miss a couple of days here and there. But I will try my best not to miss anything until the processes that I'm going through throughout my visa and some wrapping up some customers pendant jobs there. Hopefully, I will not miss any day so far. But yeah, I will keep you updated regarding that. So let's go to the news. Similarly, again, this is not the first time that we saw this. Again, given that the SIG consort of the 12-volt power pin kind of a thing, AMD, Intel, plus NVIDIA and a couple more companies, they were a part of this consortium for this troublesome, to say the least, connector here. And it's not the first time that given that this is still a rumor, but I think they've been always in the background testing this new power connector. Basically, again, it's what basically every even YouTube big tech channels have been saying, and this is also my opinion, which is that connector is. It's not a very good choice of going about and trying to. The idea is good, trying to put a smaller connector, just one cable to deliver and around maximum 600 watt power to the GPU there. But again, I don't think the way they went about it was the best one, and even from AMD, they, according to their own information, the reason for this PCI, express power connector still behaves more reliable on tests. There are hardly any problems with it during the load tests. It brings the usual security. In contrast, the 12-volt power, even with the latest revision with the 12-volt power connector there, while much is improved over this connector, is nearly as reliable as the old option at just under 300 watts. Yeah, there is no need to, according to them, to go about and just put this new 12-volt power connector just because. Again, the 8 PCI, they are more secure. They have higher tolerances in the load tests. Mainly because, again, the physical connector, in terms of comparison, it's bigger. The resistance are lower because the surface of contact between even the connectors and in the cables, they have very high tolerances. I think I saw an article saying that they can handle like the double of loads and have I think they can handle the double of power that they are handling at this moment. So in terms of security, or lack of a better term, it's way better than the 12-volt power pins, because the way they were designed, they are the tolerance is very minimal to error. That's why we have been seeing a lot of melted connectors all over the place. There are still a lot of repair shops that are on YouTube and do videos about it. Every month they have I don't know, at least every week they have a handful of GPUs to replace the connectors every week so far. So it's still a recurring is a recurring problem at this time, with even with 4090s and some 4080s from time to time. Again, which means that even this situation is not even solved for 40 series, and having this translated to the 50 series from NVIDIA, which for sure will have this connector. Again, I don't feel very safe on recommending any kind of high-end GPU from NVIDIA at this moment in time, especially 4090s. Given that I prefer to have more cables connected to to the GPU. In my case, 7900 XTX. You have free 8-pin PCI connectors there. I prefer to have that and just plug it in and don't worry about if the connector is properly inserted or not, because with this case, when you hear the click, you know it's firmly secured, so there is no issues about it. There is no issues with 12-volt power pin. There is the issue with 12-volt power pin of not bending too much the cable because it's too fragile and it can push out or damage the connection in the connector itself. Again, it's way too much trouble for ease of use and safety concerns of not melting your own PC while gaming or something like that, or even at idle, because some things happen on idle. Some of the burn damaged on the connectors happened on idle. So there is always that concern in the back of your mind when you have your PC turned on. And yeah, I think they really need to solve this. Again, my recommendation, even though I'm not an engineer or anything like that, I think double the size of the connector. Double the size of the connector so it can handle like thicker cables, and the points of contact inside the connectors are bigger. The area surface of contact is bigger, so less resistance. And I don't know, fine tune the connector itself when it plugs in, where there is no any kind of wobbling around. So when you heard the click, it confirms that it's completely secure there. And I think enlarging a little bit the connector, like double the size, I think it's a solution, because even by doubling the size of the connector of the 12-volt power pin, I think it's still half the size of the area of the free 8 PCI Express connectors there. And I think it can solve a lot of issues regarding power delivery and tolerances and all that jazz. But yeah, what can I say? I'm not an engineer, but from what I know from current electricity, electronics, I think when you solve the issue of this, especially on the resistance of contact on the connectors themselves, I think you overcome a lot of the issues that we've been seeing regarding melted connectors. But yeah, I will stop that with the rambling here. But yeah, I think they will be sticking, especially AMD, they will be sticking with the older version, so the PCI 8 connectors, given that there's not going to be any kind of high-end GPU. So we can assume the Navi 48 is going to, I don't know, maybe 2, maximum 3 in some AIB models, probably. But yeah, I think we will stick with around 2 8-pin PCI Express connectors there. Regarding games, we got another Monster Hunter Wild showcase coming October 23rd. So around, let me do my math, around 6 days from now. Again, got a teaser here, nothing that we already didn't see there. The stream will be presented by the producer of the game, or one of the producers of the game, Ryozo Tsujimoto. And again, the team on the is still working on optimizing the game. Hopefully, this will be a good showcase of the engine itself on open world games. Hopefully, it doesn't have the same issues that Dogma 2 has. I don't think it will. Even though there are a lot of monster AI to deal with. I don't know if it's going to have like a high load on the CPU stuff. I will assume not that much, but my main concern is comparatively, for example, with Unreal Engine 5, the traversal stuttering issue, that it's an engineering problem at this point in time. Hopefully we don't see this, because this engine is very well fine-tuned for games like Resident Evil, some more linear games. And the only case that we saw an open world game being made with this engine is Dragon's Dogma 2. And this will be the second big game that we will see an open world showcased with this engine. And I think we might get a good experience. Hopefully, that's my hope. But the game itself, all the gameplay systems, are very curious to try this game out. Hopefully, when it comes out, we'll see if I have any I don't have any kind of conflicting schedules to try this game, and hopefully when it launches or around that time, because again, I never trust that the game will be fully patched, let's say, on day one. So I think we will encounter, in at least in the first couple of weeks, some issues to be patched out and resolved. But yeah, hopefully it will come at its best state as it can throughout the launch of this game. But yeah, 23rd of this month, so around 6 days, we will have another presentation from here. Maybe you can get some new stuff presented here. It will be interesting to see. Also, we got another trailer teaser for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Again, this will launch next year. Supposedly, it's going to be around spring. We don't have a definitive launch date, but this game captured my attention and the attention of a lot of people recently. This new trailer is more trying to tease out the voice cast. We got Charlie Cox from Daredevil from Netflix series, the same guy, and he is relatively known well actor. He appeared in a lot of series. Also got Jennifer English from Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, Christy Riders, The Sandman and Sifu, Shala Nix, The Old Guard Cyberpunk, Andy Serkis, everybody knows Andy Serkis, and then Ben Starr from Final Fantasy 16 and Warframe. Again, other people are here also from Baldur's Gate 3 and Ineffable, Good Omens. Again, I don't know all of them. Some of them, mainly, I know from the name itself, Charlie Cox and Andy Serkis. I think I heard Ben Starr. I don't know from where, but the name, it's I think I recognize the name from somewhere. Again, it's got a little bit tease on the story and the characters there. We see at least a couple more characters, including this one on the thumbnail. It seems very like the same character that we saw on previous videos as a playable character. I'm not sure if it's kind of a twin evil brother or something like that. It's very alike, at least from what I remember there. But yeah, it seems they are very alike here, at least facial features, it seems so. But again, the setting seems pretty good, very interesting. Hope this game is excellent. Again, the combat presentation that we see so far is turn-based, but with a lot of with some interesting tweaks. Got a lot of exploration to do about there. Also in the game from the videos that have been launched. Hopefully, this will be a very good opening salvo for this studio. But yeah, okay, let's keep our expectations as low as possible so we don't get disappointed. So yeah, I'm very interested. I already wishlisted the game so I can keep my eyes on it. But yeah, we'll have to wait for a more proper launch date so we kind of expect when it's going to launch. I think it's going to launch for sure after Monster Hunter Wilds spring. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see how it goes in terms of updates regarding this game. We got also from IO Interactive, the guys from Hitman series. They are working at this moment in time on the James Bond game, which they are hoping to be a trilogy of games with James Bond. I think they are aiming, from what I understood, for like early days James Bond. Again, it should be in line similar to Hitman because they are pretty good at doing this kind of games, like mission-based games with a lot of, I don't know, with a lot of stuff to do in every scenario, possible resolutions of the situation itself, and various way of going about to achieve the objectives. But they are also publishing this new game from, it's called MindsEye. This is supposedly a studio which is Build a Rocket Boy, led by Leslie Benezzi's 25-year track record in development, producing, directing, and designing video games, including Grand Theft Auto series. Again, the name doesn't ring me a bell here, but they say they are focused on creating the next generation compelling gaming and quality entertainment experiences. Again, I don't know what to tell you. This is just a tease. Got some images here and there. I don't know what to expect from this. I think they are aiming for kind of, I don't know. I don't even. I don't know if it is a third person. I think this is a third person view kind of a game, kind of Metal Gear Solid-ish, kind of DNA trying to go about that. Um, but yeah, nothing else to see here at this moment. I'm keeping myself neutral, even though I might be wishlisting this to keep my eyes to see if it is sounds good or not. Again, I don't know this person, even though you might have 25 years track record. For me, it doesn't ring me a bell or anything. But I will keep my eyes on it to see if it might be or not a good choice to wishlist this game. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And then we got also Resident Evil 4 Remake, sold 8 million copies, which is a lot. Again, it's been a year and a half, give or take, if not mistaken. March 2023. Yeah, around a year and a half, 8 million copies. I think the remakes that Capcom is doing, especially on the Resident Evil franchise, are pretty good in terms of qualities. So yeah, and they are very faithful, at least to the setting that they are from the original ones. And I want to eventually play the Resident Evil games. There, I already have. I have the Resident Evil 7. I managed to buy Resident Evil Village, and then I will eventually go about and buy the remakes and the such and try them out and probably do a gameplay series on them or something like that. But yeah, good to see that it's selling well. A good game when it's sorry, there it is, 19 months. Yeah, year and a half. Yeah, it's good to see that good games sell well. It's always good to see that. Again, it might signal to the publishers that when you launch a good game, people will play it and will buy it, instead of the crapshoot that a lot of them are pouring through into the market, that are not selling, and in some cases just in certain cases they just have to shut down the studio because how badly it didn't sell. But yeah, and lastly, yesterday we got a lot of stuff regarding this the Asmongold stuff. I've been watching a couple of months now, here and there. I watch some videos, some clips. I don't watch the streams there, but I watch some clips here when the topic might interest me or not. But yeah, there was this lack of better word drama around this, the comments that he did regarding the situation in Palestine and the such. The video that he did after the banning of Twitch, I think it was to a certain extent a sobering experience. As a person, I think when you isolate yourself in a certain way, and you're basically on an echo chamber when you have a feedback loop of reinforcement of your perception of the world. It might induce you to certain extremes, and sometimes just there is also that reinforcement when you say something and people on the chat just yes, continue. There is that bias reinforcement that might not be your own, but because you going with the flow, you usually are set up to say some stuff that you might regret to a certain extent, and or say stuff that you didn't think through very well, and to form an opinion. And that's why I usually try to be as not moderate, but as nuanced as possible. And usually I try not to be very definitive or final in my thoughts, because I might not have all the information regarding any kind of subject. I always to try to see myself in life that I don't know all the truth of any kind of subject. So I try to keep myself open-minded, and try to be as empathic if put myself in the other person's shoes, when it comes to two-sided stories, and try to rationalize things in that way, and try to reach a more nuanced decision or conclusion regarding any kind of subject, life, gaming, whatever it is. And I think there is a huge gap in culture-wise, between mostly Americans and between Americans and some European countries and the rest of the world per se. I think there is a huge valley and gap of cultural knowledge and how people are perceived. There is some certain arrogance culturally in the overall scheme of things regarding American culture, regarding everybody else in the world. I think it has to do a little bit with America, what we call American exceptionalism, and the ideology. They are the shiny city on the top of the hill in certain ways, and with that there is a certain disregard for other people's opinions and cultures and the way they want to go about life. But throughout my travels since a young age, I was lucky enough to travel around the world per se. Travel a lot on vacation with my parents at the time to Africa, some Middle Eastern countries. I myself living at this moment in a Middle Eastern country, which is UAE, and it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, which is even all these layers of culturalism, even in some cases some real religion. Not mandates, but the way that people are guided themselves, being through religion, culturally, people at the end, normal people, the people that have to live their lives, work a day, 9 to 5 job per se. What they want to do is live their lives as normal people. They just want to provide for themselves, from their family, keep themselves out of trouble. They don't want any kind of conflict. They avoid conflict. It's what the normal person lives. Is basically the exact same way in or try to live and go by is the same way than in Europe, Americas, Middle East, Africa. It's what they try to do. Of course, then there is again who supposedly represent the countries. They might vary a little bit, but even that, we are all at the end of the day human beings that try to go about life, trying to be our better selves. Most cases, I'm talking very broadly here. Try to be our better selves. Find somebody that we can partner with and probably form a family or enlarge our family nucleus and provide for them and for ourselves. Basically, I think that's how usually people want to live their lives in an overall term of things. And then we got certain aspects, in this case in particular, regarding the conflict there is in the Middle East. Some countries at this moment are more affected than others. But there is some historical context that seems to be a little bit out of the loop of the conversation there. But in broader terms, is, let's say, regarding Palestine, Israel, is people tend to forget it. It was mentioned, funny enough, through Macron, President Macron comments regarding the formation of Israel, which was basically an artificial creation of a country in an already existing country. So it's a state inside of a region out of nowhere by voting in the United Nations. Again, I'm not going to dabble too much on the reasons why, but the fact that a country was created in a region where already people were living there, in this case is the region of Palestine, which, interestingly enough, it is an area that all faiths were tolerated and they lived together without any major issues. Let's say they were tolerated and they practice their own religions and their own cultures without any major issues, at least historically, from what I saw in terms of from documentaries and stuff that I read. And basically, when you create a state and you mandate people that get out of there so new people can live in there, it will create, in terms, at least in that region, will start to create some conflict in terms of cultural, and the way that the Israel was founded was again the reasoning to a certain extent was a religious context, in the sense this is Jewish people. Judaism is a religion, and now we are going to insert this Jewish state on a place where nobody a lot of people were not culturally or even religious connected with that, even though there were Jews that lived in Palestine. But yeah, when you start doing these kind of things, it will start create tensions and conflicts. And again, the way they was formed, the very well-known Nakba, so the expulsion of peoples that lived there, and they were expelled from there. It will create inevitably, without any kind of and the fact that it never was resolved, that situation. It was basically, we are now funding a state for a specific type of persons here, and the rest has to go away. There was no integration. Generations for generations, it causes what we can say a generational trauma and generational conflict, because then your parents transfer that trauma, let's say. I'm trying to be very broad term, because again, I'm not an historian, but when you go about doing things in this way, it will generate conflict and attrition between the peoples. And yeah, it basically drove to the path that we are today. And the perception that a lot of people have, by not even having any kind of, I don't know, a knowledge of the culture, we tend to dehumanize to a certain point the other persons that we don't know, especially when they are on the other side of the ocean and we never saw them. And sometimes what we hear from them, it's not their best selves or the representation of who they are, and that leads us to be a little bit close-minded and not expand a little bit our horizons, because at the end, from personal experience, regardless of religion, culture, we are all human beings trying to live our lives. And at the end, that's how we are humans in that sense. We might go about in different ways. We might worship different, what we can perceive different gods. We might do certain things in a different way, but at the end, we just want to provide for ourselves and our families without any kind of conflict or any kind of war regarding that. Of course, there are always some very specific minorities, which we usually designate them by extremists. But there are extremes in every country, every religion, every culture. There are always a minority of extremists. They will always try to instigate something because they are a minority. They will try to reinforce their ideologies, their ways of life that are not compatible to the majority of people. And sometimes, as we see sometimes on Twitter, usually the minority is the most vocal one, and it can pass wrong perception of a majority through that minority. This is me trying to not go too much in depth, because I don't think it's the program to go about. But I think, basically, taking that all of that information, I think Asmongold, at least he is supposedly now on a redemption arc, to a certain degree, on a redemption path. I think what he said, there were some things that I really liked for him on his journey to redemption, to take a step back, evaluate a lot of stuff in his life. I think it's one of the best ways to go about it when this kind of call to action, let's say in this case, banning of Twitch, the fact that he has the possibility, or eventually has the possibility of, for example, traveling abroad and try to see for himself other cultures, I think is going to be very, very good for him, because he will see that some things might be confirmed from what he heard, but I think a lot of people, if they have the possibility, and specifically if they have the willing to do so, I think people should travel abroad, sorry, especially in more different cultures. For example, an American traveling to Europe, the cultural shock per se will not be that great. But I think different cultures, I always think that it's a good thing to experience in them. So at least you, because when you think about it, at the end, we are all human beings trying to live our lives the best we can. Again, I don't know what else to tell you. And I think it's going to be a good experience if he has the possibility to do so, and reevaluate a lot of stuff that, again, when you get stuck on Twitters or social medias and on television, just watching the filtered news and information, I think you will not get a good comprehensive ideas of what the world is all about there. But yeah, basically this is it. I'm just going to wrap up some gaming deals. We got Delivers to the Moon, 78% off. Blasphemous is still on sale, 75% off. We got also Art Space Shipbreaker, 65% off on the base game. We got also Planet of Lana, 50% off. Dome Keeper, pretty good game, 50% off. And lastly, from Steam, we got The Long Dark here. Come on, man. No, 40% off on survival mode, and by the Long Dark, 50% off here. On GOG, we got still Deus Ex Human Revolution, Director's Cut. Again, this is a pretty good game still. This version for PC might be a little bit finicky, but still enjoyable, at least story-wise. And then we got the sequel, Deus Ex Mankind Divided Digital Deluxe Edition. I need to play this game. I already have bought it, but I need to play it. 85% off. This has all the DLC there. Again, it's a continuation of the previous game. And then lastly, we got World. Again, it's on sale, but even when it's not on sale, I really do recommend buying the DLC associated, which is Deep Threat. Expands a little bit the story and provides a little bit more of a challenge and different ways to go about playing the game there. I really did enjoy this game. I already completed it, both the main and the DLC. Very enjoyable. A little bit tower defense, a little bit mining stuff there, with some roguelike activities and some boss fights that are very interesting. But yeah, I really did enjoy that. Even if it's not on a sale, I really do recommend, because it is a cheap game and you take a lot out of this game. But yeah, this is it for today. I'll wrap up here with the plug on my Patreon for access support. Again, this access support is for me to try at this moment in time, try to get a better storage solution so I can have backups of the stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Now we'll see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.